Hey, badass black girls, and they making big moves. Hey, badass black girls, nothing that you can't do. They are the future, I'm trying to tell ya. They want the best, no time to settle. They got the strength to handle the pressure. These are the queens, nobody better. Yeah, changing the narrative, that is imperative. They about to rock this. Tell the women that you got this. Got no time for people who are toxic. It's all love, good vibes. You know I got your back, girl. Talking issues that matter. This is badass black girl, yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's your friend MJ here. Welcome to a new episode of Badass Black Girl. I have a very special guest today. Cassandre is with us. Cassandre Thrasybule. She is this accomplished woman, filmmaker, writer. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to have an exciting conversation about her journey. Hi, Cassandre.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm fine. You keep calling me Jennifer. That's my sister, by the way. That's fine. I love her so much.
Fine.
She's one of my role models, and they tell me I look like her.
Listen,
So
it's like I heard a click in my head when I said Jennifer. I'm sorry.
that's fine. I get it
Yeah.
at least once a week, and I'm like, okay, I'll just name myself Jennifer now. That's fine.
Okay. From now on, it's gonna be different. I promise you. Yeah. So, how are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, tell people who you are. Introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Sure. My name is Cassandre Thrasybule, and I like to introduce myself as a mother. First of all, I'm a mother of three beautiful girls. And I am also a journalist, a film documentary producer, and I recently became an author. I published my very first book. Yes.
I have to say I'm amazed. I didn't know you were a mother because you're so active. Okay, so there's this thing in the creative world, right? Um,
Yeah.
how difficult it is. A lot of conversations about how difficult it is to manage motherhood and the creative world. And sometimes I forget
Mhm.
when I see someone who's really accomplished, I just forget that they might be mothers too. And I have to say, it's
Mhm.
amazing that your mom, and you're also a writer and a producer. It's like you do it all, and I think it's fascinating.
Thank you, thank you. And as you said, it's extremely difficult. And a mother not of only one child, but three, three different personalities. And you have to, manage three different people. Yes, it's difficult, but I try to find a way to include all of them in what I do also. Like if I'm making a decision, I call everybody. We have a meeting, and and I'm telling them this is going to be my next project. This is the title it's going to be, and this is what the project is going to discuss. I'll find a way to include them and to try to make it a little easier for me. But yes, it's very difficult to manage.
Speaking of which, you said that you involved them in the process. Let's talk a little bit about your projects. So I would like to start with the most recent one, uh,
Hmm.
the book. It's an exciting book. Tell us a little bit about this book, what it's about, um, why you decided to write it. Just tell us everything.
Okay. Yes, my very first book, actually, I have one right here, and this is it. And the title is Overcoming the Dark Clouds. And it was upside down, actually. Overcoming the Dark Cloud. And it's about the it talks about the difficult moments in my life. But the reason why I wrote the book, it's not only to tell people about what I went through, but to tell people it's okay to go through things in life. And challenges, they're part of your journey. But make sure, know that you can overcome whatever it is. that you go through in life. That's the reason why that I wrote this book, to send a message, to lend a hand, to encourage people in their difficult moments. That's the reason why I wrote Overcoming the Dark Clouds. And also, when I said that I try to involve my children in my projects, the cover of this book, my little daughter, my youngest daughter, it's her idea, because we were talking about the title, Overcoming the Dark Clouds, and she said, Mama, um, the cover of your book needs to have cloud in it. And we went outside, we just took a picture of the clouds, and she went on her computer, and she worked it out. And that's her idea, practically, the title of the book, Overcoming the Dark Clouds. Yes, so that's it. And we published the book when it was back in June of last year. On my birthday on last year, we published the book. And it's a book that I started writing back in 2017, I would say. So as a writer yourself, it takes a while to write a book. Particularly, it's the first one that I published. I have other manuscripts that I'm working on, but it's the very first book that I published. So I started that book, the book, in 2013, and we finally published it last year. But it's a very it's a very the value, it's very thin. It's not a lot of pages, because I wanted to get the message across to people that you are able to overcome the dark clouds in your life. So I don't know if I said a little too much.
This is amazing. I mean, I feel that I know you not just as a writer, but also as a person, because I've seen your documentaries, for instance, and it's it's um amazing how much we get to know about the filmmaker
Yeah.
through their movies. And I've seen you focus on difficult situations. I've seen you focus on um, kind of the kind of the hustle that many people have to go through because they are in those difficult situations that I mentioned. So there's always this voice, the filmmaker's voice, that says,
Mhm.
um, do not get discouraged and trying to find a solution. And I can see, I haven't read your book yet, I purchased it, but I can see that same voice, that centered voice, that voice full of wisdom, helping me overcoming my dark
Mhm.
clouds. And I totally
Thank
trust that
you.
voice. And I'm looking forward to reading the book, and I'm encouraging
You
everyone.
haven't read it yet, really.
I have it though. You see, so
I know.
two
I know
levels of
you do.
encouragement. So first, we have to buy the book. I checked that. Now I have to read it, and I will do that for sure.
I know you did, yes. And you have a lot on your plate yourself. You do.
But I do make time for I do
Yes.
make time for self help and self care. And your book is definitely a book that I want to be part of my self care regimen.
Yes, yes, yes. And you mentioned the part about helping others. Um, I think we each one have the ability to be a healer, to be a helper, to be able to solve something. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to be to a big echelon. It can be a friend, it can be a neighbor, it can be your child. But we have the possibility to lend a hand, to be a healer, as I said. And that's what I'm trying to do through my projects. I'm trying to talk about issues of importance, and have a discussion for us to be conscious of what's going on in our society, in the world. Once we become conscious, and then that's when we're about to do and heal. So that's the main purpose behind my projects.
Beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about your films then.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what your areas of interest, what you've produced, and a little bit about how you became a filmmaker.
Okay, I've been in the world of communication ever since I graduated high school back in Haiti in 1994. When I left, when I was done with school, I found this offer to be a news anchor at one of the TV stations in Haiti. And as I said, I've been in this world ever since 1994. Actually, it's been a long time. Yes, so I've been in that world for a long time. And then when I moved to the US, of course, I graduated with a bachelor's, a master's, and I became independent. And it's a different, and I started with my first documentary back in 2012. It's a different genre in journalism, right? Because it's facts, it's research, you're dealing with real people. And again, it was to discuss an issue, I believe, that was of importance in the society. And again, it's something that I was living personally, because at one point I did decide uh, with my family, we were in the process of moving back to Haiti. And my husband, he first started to go back and forth, and we were to stay a long period of time without I was without my husband, and the children were without their father, and it was very painful, very difficult. And I realized I was not the only one going through that situation. A lot of other families were going through that situation. But again, it's an issue that was never discussed. And the children were suffering because of that situation. The women were suffering, and the families were suffering. And family is the foundation of a society. If family is suffering, that means the society itself is suffering. And I was talking about societies in Haiti and societies abroad also, because we had families living between Haiti and other countries. And I'm like, okay, this is my contribution. I'm gonna make a documentary. And that was the very first documentary, again, Castillo Families Between Haiti and Abroad. And that's how the idea came, and the documentary was born. Castillo Families Between Haiti and Abroad, and it was a very successful one, I shall say. And I made a second one, and now I'm working on my third film documentary 5 years later.
It was an amazing documentary, the first one, and I was privileged enough to get a sneak peek for the other ones. I mean, um, as an immigrant, even for those who no longer have family members overseas, they can relate to that documentary. This idea
Yeah.
of being away from home and being um, apart from your roots and
Mhm.
your identity. And in the case of your documentary, you talk about the impact of being separated physically from the ones that you love. And
Yes.
I think that many of us go through that experience where we still have family overseas, and sometimes it's your husband, sometimes it's your wife, sometimes it's your kids. So it's your immediate circle that is getting
Correct.
broken. So
Mhm.
very insightful. I learned so much from it.
That's why in the movie I had a psychologist to address the issue, and I also had a school teacher, because that teacher had in her classroom she had children who were living the situation, and of course that situation was having an impact in the way they were performing in school. Yes, it's a very delicate subject.
Yes, it is. And I know you're working on many new projects. How is the pandemic affecting the way you approach those projects?
I have to say that I did stop for a year when the pandemic did start back in March last year. Of course, I was supposed to travel in 2020, and everything stopped. But um, I have to say that we find a way to accommodate to things. We find a way to accommodate to life, and I was able to resume my travels, and well, with all the necessary measures, um, I am proceeding with the third documentary, which should be out by the mid, if not the end of this year. But I have to say, that my editor did catch COVID-19, and unfortunately, yes, but it was not in the at work. It was not at work. Thank God. It did catch COVID-19, which is causing a delay, I would say, for the project. But everything's okay.
Of
He's
course.
uh, he's recovering slowly but surely.
Yes, that's good to hear, and I'm glad you're keeping motivated. That you're still
Oh,
working on your
definitely.
craft and finding a way. And I hope you'll come back once the documentary is out. I hope you'll come back and we can talk about that new production and just go.
I hope you will invite me, and I hope you will translate the last documentary for us from French to English, of course, as you did for the first and the second one.
Absolutely. I mean, such a pleasure because I'm learning while I'm working. I'm also learning so much. And
Yeah.
I kept talking about those documentaries afterward, telling people, you need to watch this because it's it's life changing. I mentioned the first one about the separation and how relatable it is for
Mhm.
anyone going through it, whatever level of separation we're talking about. And the second one about the what certain
House
social
workers.
classes go through
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
Haiti, and um, what it means really to be part of a group that is overlooked by the government and overlooked by other groups in the society. And so many of the lessons that I've learned are applicable not just to Haiti, but it makes you think about the larger picture and
Yeah.
how often in the new country where I am now in the United States, a lot of that those interactions also occur here, where
Or right.
um, the people who have do not necessarily really care about the people who have not. So
Exactly. Exactly. And Jennifer, I'm sorry. Again, I'm saying I'm sorry. It's not to brag or anything, but Casio families between Haiti and abroad, no famille entre Haiti et ailleurs. It was the very first documentary, the very first um, movie, or the very first thing we had about that subject in Haiti. And it's the same for the second one. We do talk about the Restavek a lot. We do talk about those children that are being in the house without with being an employee, but the Restavek, you know the definition. Everybody know the definition of Restavek. But talking about the house workers, uh, this has never been done before. And this was the very first documentary. And as I said, we need to be aware of what's going on in our societies if we need to bring a change in that society.
yes, absolutely. And unless we're really interested in knowing, the knowledge doesn't just come. We have to make an effort to educate ourselves, and the fact that you're putting
Mhm.
those documentaries at our disposal so that you can contribute to our journey of learning about um, not just the Haitian society, but the world as a whole, because a lot of
That's
those
true.
lessons are applicable to other societies as well. I think it's extraordinary.
Thank you.
I
Thank
want to
you.
I want to thank you, Casson, for coming today. And as I said, I hope you'll come back so we can talk a little bit more about your new documentary when it's out. In the
Definitely.
meantime, I'm encouraging everyone to get the book. This is a book that should be part of everyone's self-care regimen. Overcoming the Dark Clouds, very important book. Um, as I said, Cassandre has the voice that you need to keep you motivated. She has gone through a lot. She managed to remain centered. She's a kick-ass mother who
Mhm.
get things done on the professional level as well. I mean, it's such a pleasure to know you, Cassandre. To I want to acknowledge how thankful I am for everything you do for us. You create documentaries that are life changing. You wrote a book to help us overcome our own dark clouds. Thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you do. And I do admire your work as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Casson. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.